And we're live. Hello, Andrew Plank.
Hello. What? We're live?
We're live.
Okay. Hey,
welcome to He Said, She Said, They Said. I'm Jane Johnston with the BriarHillGroup at REMAX. Come and here is...
Hello, I'm Andrew Plank with LePage. Hello again.
He does that because he knows he has to offset my high energy. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm relaxed.
Well, I had an interesting weekend. One of my clients was interested in a property, and I drove by and saw signs. I called the agent and tried to get in to view the property. I was told I have to wait till Monday.
And they're doing offers on Monday.
And I got a call that they received a bully offer.
Okay. Right. We've talked about bully offers before, but bully offer is an offer that jumps the queue and just brings an offer despite the seller saying they want to wait. So what happened? They accepted the bully offer.
It's conditional.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So normally
Newer Realtor. Newer Realtor.
Newer Realtor was the listing agent. Right. Okay. And they actually truly maybe got bullied into doing something that wasn't in their client's best interest, but they didn't know any better.
Possibly. I'm not going to judge. Let's just say I wasn't happy.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Anyway, what we want to do always is win for our clients. So it's just the more transparent the process, the better. And there are always situations where you feel like you're not coming into it fairly, but that's okay.
Well, I mean, there's rules that we are bound by, and then we also want to be able to, when people set up guidelines for offers, you want to make sure you want to have consistency in that. And if those guidelines or goalposts changed, it's really important that you get informed. And we actually have board rules that state that if you'd expressed interest and they'd received a bully offer, they should have contacted you to say, we have an offer, it's open for X amount of time. We're now going to be dealing with it instead of waiting till 7 o'clock on Monday or whatever it is. I heard of a colleague today, very frustrated, actually yesterday on one of our Facebook groups, talking about a property that listed last week and no showings until Monday, offers Monday at 9 p.m. That's just not enough time, especially during COVID when we're trying to keep to obviously one group at a time through a house.
I think it's the same property.
Okay. Well, yeah. So that's a frustrating one. And, it goes to maybe inexperience in an agent, and it goes to sometimes it's your seller's instructions, because sometimes the sellers feel like they have the answers and they're not actually willing to listen or prepared to listen to advice. And, as agents, we are agents. We follow those rules that are set for us, but we also follow our clients' instructions. Correct? No comment?
Well, I think that we're doing it to ourselves as agents. We have to be careful because right now we can't book two people at the property at the same time. And I've been in a lineup outside of house with buyers. And sellers, now is the time to list your property because there is no inventory. That's all I have to say.
High demand, low supply. And the demand is even creating extra demand because in the past where a property would list and you could get 40 people through in a day because maybe there would be multiple groups throughout the house and you'd have a lot more exposure. You don't get that anymore. So there is this scarcity, additional scarcity.
Exactly. And I think what's going to happen is buyers are going to enter into tenancy agreements, and then we're going to see a drop off. Then we're going to get more listings. Well,
I was talking with, it's true. I was talking with one person, not my client, but someone I know who had made an offer on one of my listings. And when he checked in with me about a different matter, where we have a business relationship, I said, well, hey, did you ever buy a place? And he said, my wife and I decided to get out of this rat race and we're just going to rent for now because we got tired of chasing this dragon by the tail. So yes, I agree. We'll see more of that as people get priced out of the market.
Okay. And how was your week other than that?
Good. I know I'm still like my girlfriend's recovering from a car accident. So we've been that's been a long time. We've been dealing with that. But we got out this weekend for a couple of good. Out for a roll. I took her out in the wheelchair and walked along the West Bay Walkway with her, and got some fresh air. And we went for a couple drives and yeah, got out a bit, which was great. And then some work. Not super busy with work, but it's not because I don't have buyers. It's because there's nothing for them to buy. So a couple showings, but not much. I do have a number of listings that look like they're going to be coming up in the next 2 to 4 weeks.
So interestingly, I am listless.
You are listless, yes.
I've been selling everything. I don't have anything left. So if you guys want to list your property, let me know. Okay, but let's first of all look at the stats, shall we?
Oh yes, how exciting.
And I've got this handy dandy computer now so that I can see both. There we go.
Well, look at that. I love the graphic. This is new. You didn't share this with me.
Do you like that?
This is a PowerPoint thing, isn't it?
Yes.
I like it. It looks good.
I have fun with PowerPoint. Okay. So here are the latest stats.
Do you want to do full screen on that? Because I can see like your upcoming screen and all the extra screens below. I don't know if you want to make that bigger.
Sorry. Display. Swap displays.
There you go. That's better. Yeah.
Okay.
What would you do without me?
Okay, so list to sale ratios 1-to-1. New listings.
Wow, exactly 1-to-1. Yeah.
Yeah. This is just for the last week. So price decrease is interesting. Remember we were talking about having like 70 in the fall?
Mm-hmm.
And then we're down 22. To 22.
Yeah.
7 price increases, which is interesting to me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know about you, but I've, had those conversations with a client where you say, okay, let's list it at, $699.9, and they say, no, let's go with 7. And then you've got in your head for whatever reason, $699.9, you put it in, you hit enter, and you go, oh no, it was wrong. And then you have to go in and make the change. And so then it shows up as a price increase of $1 or whatever it was. Or I have seen agents also put in, 50,000 instead of 500,000.
Yeah.
Or and same other way around, 50 million instead of 5 million.
5 million. Not many properties that high. Okay, but the end of month statistics, which is interesting to me. Oh, so first of all, solds, those are properties that were negotiated probably in December. So we're just not going to look at those. But overall, net unconditional sales, 646 compared to 411 last year. So we're up.
Just a bit, just a titch.
But sales, new listings is almost on par with last year, which is good because I thought we were behind.
Right. Yeah. We're just so far behind in inventory. It'll take a while to catch up, but it looks like the actual number of new listings coming on market are comparable to. Now, that being said, January 2020 was the beginnings of people starting to be concerned with this new novel virus coming in. So I'd like to see how that compares to prior Januaries as well.
Yeah, and I was going to say that upcoming for the next few months, it's going to be, the statistics are going to be skewed. So
really skewed, yeah.
Okay, and then active listings is important, 1,321 compared to 1958. And 1958, I would say, would be normal for last year. Yeah.
So at 1,321, that is townhouses, condos, houses, mobile homes, new. Is this residential only, or does this include the commercial as well?
Residential.
It's residential only. So, and this is from, Souk to Sydney and out to Port Renfrew and up over, up to the Malahat, sometimes to Duncan. It actually could include some other board listings too. If someone has listed a property from this, they're physically here, registered it on our board, but it's actually physically located somewhere else in BC. So that 1,321 is not a large number.
No. When we got into real estate, the number was 3,600 and we thought it was a fast market.
Mm-hmm.
Just
So,
saying.
I'm glad you can remember that far back.
Okay, so we're going to be talking today about pets and specifically rules and regulations around pets. So there are bylaws and there are rules. So bylaws cover many different areas, and what it does is it talks about the management and maintenance and the use and how the common property and common assets of the Strata Corporation are managed. Below is where I went to get the information if you're interested. And then go ahead.
I was just going to start with a 10,000 foot view here and say, we're talking about buying a home, and if you have pets or are concerned about somebody else having pets in their neighborhood, what do you have to be aware of? And so one of the main areas where there are rules around pets is in stratas, which is where you're going to see bylaws. But there's also municipal rules, even if you're buying just a house. If you have, let's say, 6 dogs and the local municipality only allows, there are numbers on them. I think that Suka is a little bit, I think Suka allows 5 or 6. You know how many?
Victoria allows 3.
Yeah. And then, you got to go out to Suka if you have more than 3 dogs, technically speaking, to follow the rules. And speaking of rules and bylaws in Strata, rules get changed every year. The Strata council can make or change those rules themselves unilaterally. The bylaws themselves are something all the owners vote on by majority rule to change. So rules are more easily changed, can change every year. Bylaws are a little bit more involved to change.
And also bylaws are registered at Land Title Office.
Right. Yeah.
And they're not enforceable unless they're registered.
Yeah.
But we could also talk into the nuances of how these are written. We'll sort of look at some rules a little bit down the line, but sometimes people write rules and they don't realize how they're not, or bylaws, they don't realize that they're not really doing themselves a service. And so let's just define what a strata is actually. So condos,
duplexes, that is a half duplex, generally speaking, a townhouse, what's called a bare land strata, which could be just one of those, if you've ever driven down the road and you see a little sign that says, whatever street, and it says private road on it, that road is part of a subdivision that's actually one big strata lot that's been subdivided into one big strata property that's been divided into strata lots, and they share the common property of that road. And so that road does not belong to the municipality. It is not cleared by the municipality in winter. It's not serviced, and all those lots are strata, and they're subject to rules.
Right. And so there are standard bylaws, which are the default ones. And the default ones for pets are 1 cat and 1 dog.
Yeah. No size restriction, but 1 cat, and 1 dog, or one cat and 1 dog, or 2 cats or 2 dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's actually only 1 cat and 1 dog, because you have to change it for it to be 2 dogs. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
So when you're working with a developer, it's important, I think, actually, to change it to 2 dogs. And I say this from personal experience, working with some buyers this past year, where they had 2 small dogs that were probably like 5 pounds each. But we had to go all the way out to new construction in Langford, where they had amended the bylaws to allow for 2 dogs. Otherwise, everything else that was new allowed only 1.
Right.
And so if you look at the market and here's everything for sale, and then you start saying only 1 dog, no rentals, no kids under 19, you are really starting to restrict how the use of the property and who can purchase it.
Right. So it depends on the developer and how they are positioning their development towards a certain type of buyer. And if you're looking for a buyer that's maybe of the younger crowd and who is active and maybe wants more than 1 pet, then you might want to have the 2-dog allowed. You have to think about whether or not that's going to put off other buyers in the complex as well. And I think that's one of the reasons why oftentimes they don't do that. They're afraid you're going to end up with a building with everyone having 2 dogs, and some people not wanting to buy because they don't want to live in a dog. But people will pay money for their pets. People will go out of their way to take care of. I mean, we've all seen how ridiculous we all are as pet owners. I'm one of them, when it comes to caring for our pets and what we will do to ensure that our pets are comfortable and cared for. So stratas that don't allow pets cut out a big portion of the population, and so that affects value.
Oh, I'm adding this pet picture for cute factor.
Whoa. Okay. And Francis and the kitten, getting all kinds of social media posts about the kitten updates. It's amazing.
So pet bylaws can ban pets. They can limit the number of pets. They can provide restrictions on keeping pets. So it says here, it talks about leashing them in common areas. Right. Often now they have like picking up after your pet as well. And I would say, okay. Okay. Well, let's just go through this. They also
I love the ones that are like the pet weight ones, because, somebody's got a pet that's 21 kilograms. You're like, can I get away with this? Let's say, for the example, here in your list, that there's a 20 kilogram limit. So, my pet's 21 kilograms. Okay, we'll put it on a diet.
Well, and also they don't say if it's full grown or not. So some people will bring the pet in. It's not over 20 kilograms, and then it gets bigger. And I actually had a client who lived in a strata where they said that it was no taller than 14 inches at the shoulder.
Yeah.
And it actually cost the seller $75,000 because the first buyer who wanted.
Could you? Sorry, I'm just putting on hold for a quick sec. I'm so sorry.
Are you talking to me? Anyway, they ended up the pet that for the first buyer had a shoulder height of 15 inches, and so that inch cost her dog being allowed into the strata. So the sale didn't happen, and 6 months later, $75,000 less, we ended up selling it. So there is really a financial impact.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. You have clients, they've got 2 cats, the bylaws allow 1 cat, and your buyer talks to the strata council, and the strata council, let's say it's a self-run strata, they don't have a property manager, and then they don't fully understand how these rules work. And the strata council says, oh, sure, we will write an exemption for this cat, a second cat. You can have the second cat, no problem. And the person moves in because they've got permission. All good?
You're not allowed to do that.
No. Because why?
Because the rule is the rule. And
the bylaws are the bylaws, and they were made by the strata owners, and the strata council helps to enforce the rules, but they can't necessarily interpret them that way. They can't change them unilaterally.
Yeah, and often it's an emotional appeal, but it's the thing is, think of your strata like Spock. This is the rule.
Well, I mean, they may be very wonderful people, but they don't always know the rules. And the problem is not that we all want to be rule followers or rule benders. The problem is there's both of those types of people in the world. And if you are dealing with people who say, yeah, it's fine, come on in, no problem. And then one owner, even if it's a new owner that moves in 3 months later, doesn't like those rules or those bylaws, I got to use the right language, they can create problems. So you want to ensure that the bylaws reflect your use. And even if you can talk, if it means talking the group into changing those bylaws, which I have seen happen, don't just get a permission letter from the strata, get all the owners to agree to change those bylaws if you can. And that's really difficult in a short condition period when you're not going to really have that happen very, very easily without moving some mountains.
And I have to tell you, we're both using the words bylaw and rule interchangeably. So we have done this on the next slide, so I apologize.
Okay.
So when I'm looking at a property, I set the listing service up so that I can see what the bylaws are. And you can see here 1 dog and 1 cat, or 2 dogs. Maybe you're right. 2 dogs and 2 cats is the, I have to check that out. And then there are numerous different ones. So for instance, I had clients who were interested in buying a condo and they knew they wanted to bring in a dog. So we went through every single one of the bylaws to check to make sure that they could bring a dog in eventually. And this can change, but then they can grandfather it in.
Yeah, and I was just going to mention that. That's a really important point, is that, you know, if you love pets and you love your dogs and you have an elderly dog and you plan to get another dog when that dog is gone, bylaws allow dogs. You buy this unit and then you find that all the owners have been really concerned around barking and noise and excrement or whatever it is. And they decide at the next AGM to not allow dogs anymore in that building. Your dog is grandfathered, your current dog is fine, but the fact that you were allowed dogs when you moved in doesn't mean that after that dog has crossed the Rainbow Bridge, that it is okay for you to get another dog. At that point, if all the owners have decided, or if a majority of the owners have decided and they change those bylaws, you're done.
Right. I just want to say that there is a propensity to have people not, they look at size, and I'm not sure why. I don't know.
Good. Yeah, that's another really interesting one. I've over the years, I've really noted this, is that, you know, you have size restrictions either for weight or for at the shoulder. Sometimes there's restrictions on certain breeds of dogs. And the argument I'm often hearing is, you know, it's the small dogs that are the loudest. They're the ones that are making the most noise. They're the ones that are being the most vicious. And it's the larger dogs are sometimes actually much more stable, and, you know, when they're well trained. And I guess that's the main thing. I'm not a dog owner. I haven't, you know, I can't speak to this, but it's the impression that I've gotten. I think that people have some misunderstandings, or when you got to think about the intentions they have when they're making these rules and bylaws, not rules.
Right. And so I guess some takeaway points is, number one is you're limiting who's going to buy in your condo, which affects your resale value. As I mentioned, I gave you the $75,000 impact of that 1 inch on the shoulder. Yeah. Number two is looking at 1 versus 2 dogs. Often people who are dog lovers love having 2 dogs. And I would say the rules come about because somebody is not treating the building well, like either the dog is peeing or pooping in the hallway and the owners aren't cleaning up after them. So really, if you want a pet, be a responsible
ownership. Yeah.
And the other thing is just looking at where all the bylaws stand in your building. And often the older the building, the more the bylaws. And again, this affects resale value. I'm not sure if CMHC looks at that for insurance purposes.
I'm not aware of that, and it's a great question for a mortgage broker, but it doesn't sound to me like something. It's nothing I've ever experienced or been on the radar. I don't think that's probably something they would get involved in. But yeah, I mean, realistically, when you have pets, look really closely, not just at the current and existing rules, but what's the spectrum of ownership in the building. Is everybody own dogs? Or you're going to be more likely to keep dogs in that space? Is there just 1 dog currently up in the 5th floor and it's yapping all the time, and the owners are all, you know, elderly and tired of this? You might find that there's a bylaw change coming. So there's no set rules. All you can do is sort of try to predict the future by what has happened in the past.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so one comment here: larger dogs have the potential to create more damage, but are less likely to damage anything. Yes. Right. The impact. True. Yeah. So you're more likely. That's what I think too. Like, so if you have a I've seen rentals where there's been a badly managed dog and there's created a lot of problem. But that's not to say I've also seen like small dogs pee all over. In one case, it was all over all of the blinds. They were those paper blinds,
Right.
and wicked it all up.
Well, the other side of this is too, you know, when you get a pet and it's well trained and it's well behaved and it's a perfect pet, you know, health issues can arise, which may cause other issues, which could include incontinence and all kinds of issues with in the hallways and so forth. So you're laughing, but it's true. So this is the thing. I've lost her. We've lost Jane. We've lost Jane, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay.
Did we go down a rabbit hole? Is that what you're laughing about? It's true. What about so other pets too, though? I mean, when we're talking, we said mostly dogs and cats, but there's birds, there's aquarium animals, including fish and reptiles. I showed a place once that had chinchillas. They had a bunch of chinchillas in a condo, and the place stunk to high heaven. Couldn't even walk. I had to walk in and just like hold your breath and look around. I think it was a rental. It was really bad.
We went to a condo the other week with some clients, and there was a cover over an aquarium or terrarium. And the husband goes, "I wonder what's under that." And the wife's like, "Don't touch it." Oh,
we have a rental in our place, and our tenant, when we moved in, the tenancy didn't allow pets, and our tenant was like, "Well, could maybe I have some pets?" And we said, "Well, we're open to discussing that. You know, what do you have in mind?" "Oh, you know, maybe a bearded dragon or a tarantula."
Ew.
And I got a hard no.
I had a client who had 3 dogs, and she wanted to buy this place that only allowed 2 dogs, and I'm like, "It only allows 2 dogs." She goes, "Oh, that's okay. I carry the 3rd one in my purse." Or there are people who have cats that are identical.
Yeah.
And they're only allowed 1 cat.
Yeah.
So they are like, "Well, I have 2 cats, but they're siblings, so only 1 cat will sit on the windowsill at a time."
Better hope so. Yeah.
But that being said, there are large implications, fines if you don't abide by the bylaws. So please do so.
All true. Last story, I guess I have a war story of, I helped a lady years ago she did have 6 or 7 dogs. I think she had 6 dogs. And oh man, I listed this house for sale, and it again stunk like you wouldn't believe. It was a really hard one to get prepared for sale. And the dogs ruled the roost there. We got the home sold, and then we were looking for a place that actually, one of the reasons she was moving was because she had too many dogs for the city. So we started looking for a place further out. Price point was not very great, so we had to look in a lower price point. There wasn't a lot of options and choice. So we went out to Souk, where the bylaws allowed for the 6 dogs. And we're looking out there, but we still weren't finding anything. In the end, the relationship didn't work out in terms of a working relationship. She wasn't understanding or heeding the advice I was giving. She went to another agent, and I found out from later on that she'd ended up buying a half duplex in Langford, and moved in there with her 6 dogs. Now, and she thought that meant that because there were no rules that she could see, because it's a half duplex, that there were no rules. But that's not true. As Jane mentioned earlier, the standard bylaws apply if there's no registered bylaws. Standard bylaws allow 1 dog or 1 cat, or perhaps 2 dogs. So that next door neighbor in that duplex would have been having some major problems with this person. And I totally would have advised against that, and was one of the reasons why the relationship didn't work out. Sometimes hope springs eternal. But that would have been, I don't know what the end result was, but I'm pretty sure that she would have either had to sell again or get rid of her dogs, because that was not the right move.
That's terrible.
It is. It is.
Well, I want to say we actually created a document. So if you're interested of dog-friendly condos, because we had to do this, we've done this for a number of clients. So we just keep adding to it. And so if you're interested, let me know. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, send me the list.
Okay. Okay, so I was thinking next week, since we have reached the end of the month and we're going to get our stats midweek, let's talk about a full market update, and we'll bring a mortgage broker or two.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Okay, awesome.
Thanks, Jane.
Okay, so if you want to reach Andrew, you can reach him here, Andrew Plank.
I am found online. That's my website, andrewplank.com. And yep.
And his number is 250-360-6106 for those people who are listening only.
Oh, yes. Can I do you, Jane? I'm doing Jane. And you can reach Jane Johnston at 250-744-0775. That's 250-744-0775. Or email her at BriarHillGroup@gmail.com. Thank you.
Okay, everybody. So we'll see you next Monday, 10 a.m. for a fun review of what's happening with the market. Roy is saying, I watch the show every week live or after, and I have a question about the usual income of property ratio in Greater Victoria. I know it has nothing to do with pets. Okay, Roy, if you want to send Andrew or me that question, because I'm not exactly sure what you mean.
Yeah, that was.
Well, we can deal with it next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Have a great week, everybody. See you Monday at 10 a.m. And don't forget, if you're on YouTube, to subscribe. Bye.
Bye, everybody.